Yes, ever on and on we shall go. Hello guys, welcome, or if you've already seen my channel before, welcome back. I am the Philadelphia Whovian, and guys, my apologies again for doing a video at night. Now a lot of my shifts take a long time during the day, so this is all the time I have to do videos. And yes, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? We're talking about my ever ongoing love for that beautiful thing called Star Trek, the original series. And for those of you guys who are new to my channel, with this one, I do videos on season 1 of the original Star Trek series, and then after I do a video on each episode of the original Star Trek series season 1, I'm going to do a ranking of all of these Star Trek stories. Literally from the original series, all 3 seasons will be ranked. But right now, we're talking about that other special episode, the next one in our series, Dagger of the Mind. Oh yeah. So with this story, I'll be honest. Okay, so those of you guys who don't know, my previous video was on Miri. Now we're on the next one, The Dagger of the Mind. And I believe it was written by S. Bar David and directed by Vincent McCafferty. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section if I got those names wrong. Okay, so yes. What is the plot? I'm going to tell you the brief plot of this story. So in case you haven't seen it, you want to see it, I won't try to spoil too much of it for you. Okay, it starts out with the Enterprise having to deliver supplies to a mental institution that of course treats people who have psychological deficiencies, but as well as they probably have a criminal past, and it's about more so also being a mental institution, but also a correctional facility to help correct and nurture people who have a negative history and make them into more positive citizens. It starts out though with, after they beam something down, some supplies down to this institution, they get supplies up. But in the box is one of the doctors who is at that institution, and he's completely crazed. The reason why is because he was exposed to a machine there that was supposed to kind of calm the brain, or, you know, try to balance out the negative aspects of the brain, or help treat the brain and soothe it. But he found out, or due to the excessive treatment he got when he was there, was this. Oh no, this is like a brainwashing machine that actually can destroy the brain of the person who is now being treated. This machine is literally almost like melts the brain or destroys it, and ultimately can kill you. So he gets onto the Enterprise trying to warn the Enterprise, even though he's suffering from this mental trauma and psychological breakdown himself. And eventually, Kirk, along with another officer who he has a history with, another gorgeous actress who does a great performance in this, they beam down to the planet, expressly encouraged to do it, not only by the doctor who escaped, but also to do some detective work encouraged by Dr. McCoy, as well as a bit by Spock as well. They go down, and eventually they do find out that this machine is dangerous. So it's about stopping this machine and exposing this corrupt system, so that people are no longer suffering under it. But they go through some mental trauma themselves along the way. So that's the overall plot. And this plot sounds familiar because that's another thing I like about this story. Is, guys, and tell me this who, if you watch these videos and you know the history of TV back then, was this the first time this idea of people using a correctional facility or a mental institution to brainwash people to try and make them more almost submissive and brainwashing them practically? Is this the first time this plot has been done? Because if Dagger of the Mind was literally the first that this has ever happened in TV, this becomes a popular trope. And Star Trek actually can take credit for being the show that really began this concept, or in sci-fi especially, but other areas of the cinematic world or the TV show world as well, or the TV world as well. I should say TV world as well. But let me know if you guys know, like, you know, in the 60s, this was actually a popular trend in TV, and Star Trek just took a hold of that trend. Either way, it is a good idea in all essentials. Another really good thing that came out of it for me was, I believe this is the first story that Spock does the Vulcan mind meld, where he uses his Vulcan abilities to read the mind of another person. That's how they were able to figure out that something possibly dangerous was really going on down in the institution because Spock did help do a vocal mind meld to find out what was happening with this patient. And then eventually Spock breaks down the barrier that keeps the Enterprise from going down there. He goes down there. Unfortunately, around the time that Captain Kirk was brainwashed to fall in love with the other officer who was with him, which they have a history. Like I said, they have a history, and she's a beautiful woman. And he goes just at the point where he sees Kirk kissing her, and Spock is like, what? It's like, I come down to save you, and I see you kissing a woman? That's what his brain is, like, doing. But it becomes very obvious very quickly. Oh, he was brainwashed. Captain Kirk was brainwashed. And once he no longer is brainwashed, he's back to this, I will solve the problem, Captain Kirk, that we all know him to be. So yes, I appreciate that. It helped give us the Spock, good old popular gesture of the Vulcan mind meld, which has served Star Trek really, really well. There's that. But also, again, the concept of the story. If this was a unique story, this would go on to inspire a lot of television. And if memory serves me correctly, okay, for those of you who watch my channel, but you also watch Doctor Who, this episode predates the story from the third Doctor's era called The Mind of Evil, where if you actually go back and watch The Mind of Evil and you look at Dagger of the Mind, you'll see that the premise is actually very similar. Of course, more was added on to it in The Mind of Evil, and was, a lot of other additions were made to it, but the overall premise is still there, which means Dagger of the Mind could have easily, if it was unique storytelling, it could also have influenced Doctor Who as well in that regard. Either way, this is a story, has a lot of very good elements to it. I admit it's not my favorite story, but that's nothing against this. Star Trek has a lot of really good stories, and I, by nature, often gravitate towards the stories that take place mostly in space or mostly on the Enterprise. That's just how I am, usually. But Dagger of the Mind, great story, very good writing, very good premise that would go on to become immortal. So guys, have you seen Dagger of the Mind? Have you not? Either way, let me know in the comments section. Hope to see you again with the next batch of Star Trek videos. Either way, guys, it's been an awesome journey. Thanks for still being on this journey with me. Bye, guys.